Here's how a person who just learned an algorithm will solve this case. On the other hand, this is how a super fast, unequivocally attractive speedcuber like myself, aka soon to be you, will solve the same case. Now, the reason I'm able to execute this algorithm so quickly is because it's completely locked into my muscle memory. And if you're wondering how you can do the same, you're in the right place. In this video, I'll break down the simple two-step process you can use to memorize algorithms extremely fast and start dropping your times immediately. So without further ado, let's get straight into it. The first step in this process is recollection, and this step breaks down into two parts: how you learn an algorithm and how you turn it into muscle memory. For now, let's focus on how you learn the algorithm. To explain this, I'll be using two examples, the T-Perm and the V-Perm. Let's start with the T-Perm. The full algorithm itself is 14 moves long, but instead of trying to cram all 14 moves into your brain at once, it's important to try to condense the information. So after looking closely, are we able to notice that it starts and ends with the same sequence of moves, R, U, R prime. The only difference between the beginning and the end is one move. That means instead of memorizing all 14 moves, we can think of it as one RU R prime block with one move, a 6-move sequence, and another RU R prime block with one move. And this simple change shrank the algorithm from 14 moves to pretty much 6 moves. And if that sounds confusing, think about it like reading a big word in a book. Instead of taking it as a whole, you would break it down into smaller parts, sound them out, and then with practice, you could say it fluently. Some algorithms work the same way. Instead of taking them as a whole, you just condense the information. This second example is a bit more tricky because it's harder to condense the information, but we can do something else. If we split the algorithm into two halves, we can see how the moves affect the state of F2L pairs. For example, in this case, the first half moves this pair from here to here, like so. After that, it's a U prime, and then we just insert the pair back. The second half moves this pair from here to here, like so. And then again, it's the same U prime, and then we just insert the pair back and do a U. So this shows that if you can't condense the information, try to use other methods to learn the algorithm faster. Like in this case, seeing how the moves affect the state of F2L pairs. After you know the moves, your goal should just be muscle memory. If you turn too slow, you won't progress, so make sure to turn faster while learning the algorithm. The next step is recognition, and that's the difference between this and this. The main difference between these solves is a transition. The first one is choppy, while the second is smooth and controlled from start to finish. And I'm sure that we've all experienced this. You're practicing an algorithm and it feels perfect, and then in an actual solve, everything just falls apart. If you're practicing an algorithm and you can execute it perfectly at a comfortable speed, repeating it is pointless because you're just reinforcing what you already know. The best thing you can do is put the cube down and come back to it later. If you do, you'll usually notice one specific part that's significantly slower. So now, you can just isolate that section and practice. And that's how you turn something into something you can execute effortlessly under pressure. How fast you're able to recognize an algorithm is the most important part of recognition. For example, if I were to solve this scramble, so that's across, F2L, and the moment I finish my last F2L pair is when the recognition timer starts. This timer begins right after you finish F2L and ends the moment you start OLO. So it would start right now and end right now. And the same thing can be said for PLL. So it would start right now and end right now. In other words, it basically measures how long it takes you to recognize a case. So our goal should be to shrink that time. Now, some of you are probably thinking, if I need to reduce my time, then all I need to do is practice my cases, like so, and just do the case. Because this will help me recognize the case, and I'm gonna practice how I solve it, like so. Well, that's actually incorrect, because if you're the one setting up the case, then you probably know what it will be. So all you're doing is training how fast you can solve it. So if only there was a resource that gives you a random scramble and lets you time how fast it takes you to solve the case. Well, lucky for you guys, there are a ton of resources out there like that. And I'll link my personal favorite in the description for you guys to use. But for now, I'll tell you how you can use this amazing resource to help reduce your time. So it starts off by giving you a completely random scramble. And as you're doing this, try not to look at your cube. And after you finish, you can take a look at the cube and solve the case. And the reason I like this site is because it's extremely good to practice, and they also have customization features like what algorithm you want to practice, including AUF and many more. So that's about it for the video. Thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.